Welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast. The Mike Francesa podcast is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Busy time, as we know. First round of the draft in the books. All smiles here in the metropolitan area. And, you know, the draft went very much according to rote. We didn't get the early trades as everyone held on to their picks. But, you know, everything we went over for months happened. I mean, Daniels went 2. May went 3. Harrison went 4. Harbaugh had his chance of getting Harrison or Alt. Alt was available. He took Alt. The Giants took Neighbors, as we told you they would for a long time, because the information I had gotten, which was sound, was they were telling the truth. They said I was told by someone I trust that they were taking Neighbors. That's who they took. That Tennessee took a tackle, not surprising. That they left the Penn State one on the board was a big one for the Jets. The big surprise, of course, what Atlanta did. Now, Atlanta went out and spent a ton of money on Cousins. Cousins was very upset. Well, anybody's going to be upset when a team that just paid you a lot of money to be their quarterback goes out and gets a quarterback that they take 8. Now, everyone ripped this pick. First of all, grades right after the draft are probably the most mindless exercise in the history of sports. You can't judge a draft 5 minutes after it happened. I'm giving this guy an A. I'm giving this guy a B. The A is based on that you took a player that we slotted in that area. Well, that's how you get an A. You get an F when you take a guy that they think is a reach, who they had in the second round. But you know what? They're not right. They don't know. Nobody knows. If everybody knew, you wouldn't have guys like Tom Brady drafted in the 6th round, or Joe Montana drafted on the 3rd round, or guys who go as free agents becoming all-pro players. What happened here was Atlanta, from what I understand, fell in love. Raheem Morris fell in love with Penix. Now, he wanted Penix badly. He thinks that's his future. He thinks he's going to spend a decade in Atlanta, and he thinks that's his quarterback of the future. He might very well be. We don't know that. We're not going to know that today. The draft is reviewable based on time and performance. It's the only way you can judge a draft is based on time and performance. You know, the one way people use it is if you give that first-round player a second contract, he's a success. It's a fair, reasonable way to judge him. And the other way is, hey, if you take a guy in the first 3 rounds, you hope he's starting for you in the next 2 years. That's fair. Now, you take somebody like a quarterback, they're a little different project. So first of all, was he slotted to be a first-round pick? A couple places, yes. Most places, second round. Now, was he a productive player in college? Yes, very. He played great. He was the best player in college probably last year. When you take everything into account, he probably was the best player. Nobody's going to know right away about him. He's not going to play this year. Just like a couple of years ago, I guarantee we go back and read the commentary when the Packers drafted Love. Rodgers was upset. Other people said they had needs. What are they doing? They need a quarterback. They got an all-world quarterback. Yeah, they did. Now they have a great quarterback going forward for the next decade. You think it was a good move now? Of course, it was genius. Was it genius a couple years ago? No, it was a crazy pick. Same thing with Penix. The one thing that people are getting on is, if you wanted him, you could have slotted down 10 picks and got him. How does anybody know that? Knicks went 12. There was a run on quarterbacks. How do you know they didn't think that the Raiders were going to jump up to 11 and take this kid? No one knows. No one knows what was going to happen next. So the people who make drafting their business, they compile information about players. They don't usually meet the players. They might go to the combine and see them, but they don't meet them. They don't have the access that NFL teams have. They don't have the investigative resources the NFL has to go look under the bed on each of these big players. So you don't know the things the teams know about these guys. You can't. You don't have the resources. Or you don't have really the reason to go to that level of investigation. Raheem Morris falls in love with a quarterback. He wants him. He wants him at 8, even though he just got a quarterback. He did it at the expense of taking a player they needed more immediately. Fine. In a couple of years, we'll know whether they picked the right player or not. We're not going to be able to analyze this in the short term. It's impossible. But nobody can tell you that they know he was not going off the board till the second round. Nobody knows that. Especially with a quarterback, nobody knows that. There could have been a team that they heard about that was going to jump right up to 13 or 12 and take this guy. And he wasn't going to be available at 15 or 20, like everyone says he was. Who knows? You just don't know. They had a conviction. Sports is about having convictions. And don't worry about it in the short term if somebody criticizes you. The person criticizing you is never even in the arena. They're critics. They're people who do this on the periphery. They're not really they're not doing it. They're in the periphery. And it's their job to critique. Fine. You can't critique in the short term this kind of pick. And you can't tell me you know for sure that nobody else was going to pick him. You don't know that. I don't know that. You don't know that. Nobody knows that. They had a conviction. To them, there was a value at that pick to take that player. In 5 years, we'll all know if it was a dumb or smart move. We won't know that in 2024. Sorry. If you're looking for an immediate return, well, look at it on a player that's going to start tomorrow. And then you can judge him after 1 year, which would be incorrect now. There are people knocking Trevor Lawrence. Oh, he's got to step up. Trevor Lawrence hasn't stepped up yet in his career. Did he make a mistake last year and have a bad performance late in the season? Yes, because he played injured. He played with injuries that other guys would have been sidelined by. He's a gamer. People who knock him are going to eat crow too down the line. And a lot of people knocking him. I'm very surprised. The kid's a good player. And he's going to be a better player. There's plenty of future in front of him. A very good future, as a matter of fact. Is there one in front of Penix Jr.? I don't know. We're going to find out. But they had a conviction, and they pulled the trigger. More power to them. Now, does it work? We'll see. Is it going to help make Cousins happy this year? No. Is it going to make somebody who wanted them to take a pass rusher now? No. They'll have to get that later in the draft. That's how the draft works. Kansas City got themselves a speed receiver. What a shock. Kansas City with a speed receiver. Hey, they might need one based on what Rice's future is, considering what happened in Dallas. If you know, he walked away from the scene of an accident driving his Lamborghini in some kind of race and then colliding with unexpected motorists and, running away from the scene of the crime. We don't know what his future is right now after a very bright first year. So they went out and got Worthy, who is a blistering speed receiver, which they'll probably turn into an all-pro. That's how they do it in Kansas City. But as far as the Giants, they got themselves a very speedy receiver of their own, a guy who is a home run player. Hopefully it works out. For the Jets, they made the move that I hoped that would make, and I didn't think they'd make. I thought they would go for Bowers there. I like Bowers a lot. He went 13 to the Raiders. I like him a lot. He's going to be a really good player. But their need was another premium offensive lineman because their whole existence has to start and be completed with the protection of Aaron Rodgers. They now have gone out and added premium pieces, both in free agency and the draft, on the offensive line, which had to be done, and it was done right. They made me wait a long time for Smith, but he was there. He's there. He's a tremendous talent. Is he hurt sometimes? Yes. Does he miss games? He can, yes. Last year, he had a great year, and he was number one pass blocker in the NFL. This kid gave up 1 sack in 2 years at Penn State. You can play him at right tackle now. You can play him at left tackle in the future. It was a terrific pick. This was what they needed. They now have depth, they have versatility, and they have talent on their offensive line. They have taken what was an absolute crisis area and now turned it, I'm not going to call it a strength yet until I see it as a unit, because good offensive lines are a unit and they have to meld into a unit. Let's see how now the coaching works to bring them together. But when Aaron Rodgers drops back and he's got Smith on his blind side, you're going to see the smile from ear to ear because he's protected, which is what the idea is. Keep him upright. He'll take care of the rest. He can turn an ordinary tight end into a star with his passing ability. Round 2, still a lot of draft to do. We'll get to that as it unfolds. Obviously, no problems with the Jets or the Giants. Very happy with the Jets and the Giants. Now, to the Knicks, I put up a post-game podcast last night. After the Knicks loss, I expected them to lose that game last night. I still expect the series to go back 2-2. Now, here's the thing. They ran into Embiid, and Embiid's lucky because he could have been ejected for what he did to Robinson. I don't think there's any question he could have been ejected. It was a dangerous action on his part. He wasn't. All 3 officials said they were all in on flagrant 1. They got 2 flagrant 1s in the first 8 minutes of the game. Embiid was very chippy early. He had 3 fouls after that block charge, which didn't go their way on a review. I thought it was a good call. He didn't commit another foul in the game. What he did, though, was parade to the foul line. And the Knicks, who outscored the Sixers by 9 on the foul line in the first half, got outscored by 25 in the second half on the foul line. That's crazy. But Embiid went 19-21 from the foul line. He paraded to the foul line. And, last night he went out and he didn't go down in the post a lot to score. So the Knicks were like, all right, let him shoot. Well, he made the shots last night. Other games, he's missed the shots. He made the shots last night. He was very good. He was 5 of 7 from 3. It's insanely good. He made all the shots he had to make, and he made his free throws. But I'm telling you now, it's become abundantly clear that the Sixers have 2 premium scorers. We've seen plenty from Embiid, who had 50 last night, and we've seen plenty from Maxey. And in the third quarter, when they took off, what did they do? Embiid, Maxey, a little Lowry thrown in, staggered screens for Maxey to get him off. So it goes from Knicks up 5 early third to Knicks down 13 late third. Major turnaround. The Sixers had one of the great third quarters. Knicks had a decent quarter. They had a good quarter. They had a 43-point quarter where they were about as efficient as any team been in the NBA this year. That's how good they were per possession. It was almost a perfect quarter offensively. The Knicks now, and we don't know Robinson's availability, so Precious might have to play a lot more, and he's going to get in foul trouble, just like Hartenstein did yesterday. Hey, here's the deal. I think the Knicks have to get far more aggressive with their double teams on Embiid. Put a defender, most likely OG would put in a defender on Maxey and let him play him close, as tight as he can play him. How you want to play the screens, you can get, Tips can take care of what he wants to do, what he wants to switch, what he doesn't want to switch, and everything else. But here's the thing. If I'm the Knicks, have to get vehemently more aggressive with my double teams on Embiid, because you have to try to expose the Sixers that they don't have a third scorer. Make them use somebody else to score. Make them have to go somewhere else for a bucket. Where are they going for it? Harris has been awful. Batum's giving them nothing. Heal's giving them nothing. He's not even playing. Payne came in and did a nice job yesterday. 15 minutes, 11 points. Oubre had a good game offensively, but he's not a good offensive player. They don't have a bona fide third scorer. They need somebody to score. Because if I'm the Knicks, I am going to try to take Maxey out of the issue of getting him the ball and double team Embiid and make him give the ball to somebody else. And let's see that guy score. Most likely it's going to be Harris, I would think, if he's in the game. But you know what? Make him score. He won't score. He hasn't scored. They don't have a third scorer. All right, Payne came off the bench and gave him a lift. That can happen. Hit 2 threes in the second period. Made 1 in the third period. He had 11 points in the game. Fine. Little lift for the Sixers. But the Sixers don't have a third guy they can score. The Knicks got plenty of guys. Now Knicks got a big lift last night because Brunson reemerged. He was comfortable. He scored. Still took too many shots, but he scored. 39 points. Got to the foul line. 27 shots. Still too many shots. But you got good scoring. Hart continues to score. He's averaged 20 points. He's had 20 points. He's averaging over 20 in the series. Didn't have a great game on the boards last night, but he still put up his 20 points. OG gave them big baskets. Hartenstein continues to drop that little, toss that he has in the lane into the hoop on a very high percentage. They have other options. Bogdanovich can knock down a shot. McBride has showed you he can knock down a shot. Dante can knock down a shot. And is a willing shooter. So the Knicks have options, no question. Not great scorers, but options. Philly has the 1-2 bing bang, and they're scoring a ton of points. They had 76 points in the game yesterday. 75, excuse me. 25 and 50. Embiid had 50 and 40 minutes. He played 40 minutes, but he had the extra day. He's going to have the extra day Sunday. Then he's not going to have the extra day again. It's just going to be one day in between the next 3 games, and that should wear him out a little bit. And the Knicks have got to wear him out, run him. But I think they have to in Game 4, and I think this is a perfect game where they still have a cushion to experiment with this. Very hard double teams, extreme double teams, and make a third guy be part of the Philly offense, where everything is not Maxey, Embiid, Maxey, Embiid, Maxey. That's it. 25 points for Maxey, 50 points for Embiid. 30 points for Maxey, 30 points for Embiid. You know what? Make somebody else shoot it. I want to see them really go hard with the double teams, even on the perimeter in Game 3. Not just if he goes down in the post, because he didn't go down in the post a lot in Game 2. In Game 3. Why? I think a little bit because he was hot. The other thing, he was worried about getting fouls. He's pushy when he goes down there. You got to stay out of foul trouble in a must-win. And they're in a must-win again. They have to win the next game. The Knicks don't. They have to. But I think the Knicks have to make a really conscious effort to get them exposed that they don't have a third quality guy who they can go to for a basket. Because right now it doesn't look like they do. I think we're going to come back to 2. The edge is still with the Knicks in terms of depth, in terms of conditioning, although Robinson looks like he's hurt. But Embiid's going to wear down in this series, and the extra day is really very important to him. Now he tells everyone he's got Bell's palsy, too, he's suffering from. How long that's going to last, who knows? You don't know how long it lasts. He said it's been a distraction. He's had to use drops in his eye. His eye gets blurry. His eye gets tired. He's that's bothering him too. He's got to watch these games, though, because he's going up against 3 guys on the Knicks. That's 18 fouls versus his 6. Plus, he's got to watch it because he came very close to really causing himself some issues last night with what he did. That was a dirty play. Knicks are right. It's a dirty play. There's just no way to excuse it. It's a dirty play. He could have really hurt Robinson. And Robinson's ankle seems to be a problem right now anyway. So that could be a problem going into Game 4. Hey, I think this series is going 7 unless Embiid comes up lame. If he comes up lame, the series is over. They can't win without Embiid. I mean, let's be honest. Embiid and Maxey are carrying this team with both hands in a big way. A couple things on the Yankees and the Mets. Let me start with the Mets. We come home, open a homestand, Cardinals, Cubs coming in. Mets are 13-11. They got that last game in San Francisco, which was good. And lo and behold, trumpets should blare. They do anyway, but Martinez will be in the lineup tonight. Finally. I mean, it's been a joke that he wasn't ready to play, especially a veteran player like that. But now he's ready to join the lineup. The thing that you immediately say is, how does this impact Taylor? Because Taylor's been really good. I mean, he's had 49 at-bats. He's got 2 home runs and 13 RBIs and 49 at-bats, hitting .327. He's really done a good job. And they made sure to say Taylor's not going to disappear. Now, Martinez is going to be in the DH spot. We know that. But Taylor can play all 3 outfield positions so you can rotate him. They like giving guys a day off. Right now, Martinez joins the fun. Taylor's hitting well. Marte's hitting well. Marte's up to 290, 4 homers, 12 RBIs. Bader's been okay. He's gotten a couple of key hits. He's been okay. Taylor's been one of the real surprises of the team. And they don't want to shut that off, and I don't think they will. The Mets have gotten contributions. Now, finally, some of the guys are waking up in the lineup, which you would expect. Lindor with his big game on Thursday in San Francisco, build off that. Now that he's above 200, and he comes off a 2-home run, 4 RBI game. Now, he's 10 for his last 28 with 3 homers, 8 RBIs, so he started to get involved. He's going to hit from the right side. He's got to start hitting consistently from the left side. The Mets have really done this, though, with some timely hitting from guys like Taylor and guys like Bader and Stewart here and there and different guys. They've really done it with pitching. Severino's been solid. Budo, who goes tonight, I saw him pitch in spring training the day I went to the game down there. He was there. It's funny, Taylor led off, and he got a couple of hits. And I said, this guy could be useful. And he's been even better than that. And Budo pitched, and he's pitched really well. 1.65 ERA in his 16 innings. They've gotten good performance from Severino. They've gotten pretty good performances from Anaya. They've gotten an incredible performance from Garrett. I mean, just an amazing performance from Garrett. Good performance from Ottavino. They obviously have the closer. So the Met pitching has been at the top of the league, has done a very good job, and that's the reason they're 13-11, that and some timely hits, as guys have struggled. Nimmo hasn't hit, but he's got RBIs, and he gets a lot of walks. He's got 19 walks. He's got 15 RBIs to lead the team. So he's not hitting for average yet, but he's getting walks, and he's knocked in runs. And they've gotten it from the pitching staff in a lot of different ways. The much maligned starting rotation and some guys they can so far really count on the bullpen, led by Garrett, who has been, utterly sensational. Will it continue? We'll see. That's how you get a surprise season. And right now, it's 24 games and an 0-5 start. They are 13-11. So things are looking up. Now, the Yankees go on the road after getting beat by the A's last night. I mean, they get beat 2 games by the A's, whose pitching's better than people think. And they're better than they were. Last year they were non-competitive. They're better this year. And they got some live arms. You'd like to raid that team. Yankees go into Milwaukee, 17-9, in second place because the Birds are in front of them. Yanks have one guy hitting 300. Their hitting's been very erratic. Soto's the only guy hitting 300. Volpe's almost hitting 300, but Soto's the only guy over 300 at 316. A lot of guys still struggling. The biggest culprit, obviously, Torres. Torres has been, forget the 38 home run year. He's a 25 home run hitter. He's a legitimate power hitter. He's a middle infielder. He's a 25 home run hitter for sure. Anywhere. You could put him in any park, he'd be a 25 home run hitter. He's 19 for 94 with 29 strikeouts, 2 RBIs, and no homers. That's a really rotten 100 at-bats. That's a really rotten 100 at-bats, 2 RBIs. His slugging percentage is .223. Microscopic. I mean, am I worried about him? It's a lousy start. I mean, 2 RBIs and the Yankees have a lot of guys on base. 2 RBIs is a crazy, crazy number for 94 at-bats. No home runs, couple of doubles, 30 strikeouts in 90 at-bats, striking out 1 out of every 3 times up. That's a problem. All year, all winter, I told you, and so far I got to say that I've been dead wrong about this because he's done nothing yet. And I know he hasn't had a lot of chances, but I've been waiting for him to do something. I thought Grisham was going to really help them. I thought he was going to get days in center field. I still think he will. He can be Judge's caddy. He's a good center fielder. We know that. He's got left-handed power. He's got speed. He's 0 for the season. He's only had 12 at-bats, but he's 0 for 12. No one likes looking at that. You want to hide it when you get to the plate. They're going to put up 0 as your batting average. 0 for the season. He needs a game to get going. I'd like to see some more power out of Verdugo. I think it's going to come. He's got 6 doubles. He only got 2 homers. I think you're going to see more. I think he's going to get, I told you he'd get 50 extra base hits. He's got 8 so far. So I think he's going to be okay. Really disappointing, Grisham. I wouldn't sound the alarm for Torres by any stretch. Listen, no one likes what he's doing, but I wouldn't worry about it yet. And although Judge's batting average is very low, no one's worried about Judge. Come on now. Be serious. And as I've told you, I would not, under any circumstances, to get Judge going, flip-flop Soto and Judge. It doesn't fit. The way Soto goes to the plate and is so highly selective in his approach, and that will not change based on who hits behind him. Having one of the best players in baseball behind him obviously permits him to be the patient hitter he wants to be. If you ask him to expand his zone, you take away one of his great strengths. So you go back to the days of Ted Williams, probably arguably the greatest hitter of all time. He had such a scientific approach and disciplined approach to the plate. He did not swing at balls. If there was second and third, and they were down 2 runs. Well, he'd be walked. If the bases were loaded and they were down 2 runs with 2 outs, he would not expand his zone. Put it any way you want, where you're asking him to expand his zone to win the game for you or take a chance to win the game for you because there's nobody behind him who can approach him. He would not do it. He would pass it along to the next guy, which got him ripped all the time because it was, oh, he's such a selfish guy in his approach. Hey, that was how he approached hitting. He would not have been successful doing it any other way. He knew that. So he did not expand his zone. I think the same thing is true of Soto. Soto is so disciplined. He's got the best eye I've seen since Wade Boggs. Now, Boggs was a very different hitter, but Boggs was highly selective at the plate. And Soto is, when he takes a pitch, he expects it to be ball 4. When he takes a 3-2 pitch and it's an inch off the zone, he doesn't expect to get banged out. He expects the umpire to say, I understand, it's a ball. And I think he does get that kind of courtesy. There was a game recently where Judge got the base hit after Soto walked, and Toronto, the manager, got thrown out because he thought he had him struck out. On the 3-1 pitch, he threw the bat, but it was called a strike. He came back. He thought it was a ball. It was right on the black. He came back. The 3-2 pitch was a little lower than that, and he took it, and he went to first, and umpire says it wasn't a strike. The pitcher thought he had him struck out. The dugout thought they had him struck out. They didn't have him struck out. He was right. It was low. And he is going to take that pitch all the time. And if you put him behind Judge to get Judge some fastballs, that's not going to work because he's just going to pass it along to Stanton. And you'd rather he passes it along to Judge than passes it along to Stanton. Would Soto get, switching him, would he get Judge some more fastballs? Yes, you would. And it would help him, but it would hurt Soto more. So it would be a bad move. The move is to play them the way they are now. Soto 2, Judge 3 is the perfect fit. And Judge will come out of it. You don't worry about that. He'll come out of it, and the average will pick up, and it'll be there. Might not be there tomorrow. It's funny. I was talking about the Astros the other day and how they approach, and I saw their comments about, hey, we aren't the least bit worried. Now, maybe they're whistling past the graveyard right now, but they are acting like they are not the least bit worried about their abysmal start, which began with the Yankees sweeping them those 4 games to start the season. So we'll see if that confidence is based on some real conviction, or are they just trying to, keep trouble away from their door by bluffing everybody into thinking they aren't worried, but inside they are extremely worried. I would think the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. They've had great success. All they've known for a decade is success. They have done it year after year after year. They've won at least 90 games every year except the COVID years since 2016. They haven't struggled in a long time. A lot of those years were 100 wins. The lowest was 90. And now here they are with this terrible start, but they say, hey, we are not the least bit concerned. I mentioned Trout the other day and his thought. He batted leadoff recently. And I don't know if he's going to continue batting leadoff or not, but he has 10 home runs to lead the major leagues. He has how many RBIs? Well, what would be the lowest RBI total he could have? Would be 10. He has 13 RBIs. He has 10 homers and 13 RBIs, which is Unbelievable. Almost impossible for a guy hitting. I don't think he's hitting 300. I think he's hitting less than 300. Yeah, look, I think he's hitting like 270 or something. But how about the idea of having 13 RBIs when you have 10 home runs? It's almost impossible. He's hitting. Oh, he's only hitting. I should amend that. He's now down to 237 because he's only got 3 hits in his last 26 at bats. He's 3 for his last 26. He's only 12 for his last 60, but 12 for his last 60. But he's got 5 home runs in that time. But he's got 13 RBIs for the season. 13 batting with 10 home runs. Like I said, virtually impossible. Now, we have the Rangers tonight, and they are comfortably moving along. I told you my guys, I guess one of my sons mentioned to me, "Hey, Dad, they're saying one of your friends told you about I said, I didn't even think about it. I said, because the other day I said that I wasn't going to give you anything on the first round. Let me watch some hockey first. But I played golf with a lot of different people. Played golf with a friend who's an NHL guy. And I told you what he gave me. He said that the Rangers would have no problem with Washington, but the Islanders would have no chance with the Hurricanes. And that the Hurricanes were scary and going to be very, very scary in anybody's future. And that was a big problem. He also liked the Panthers a lot. And they're up 3-0 on Tampa. And he liked Edmonton, which I know right now is only 1-1 in their series. That's a team out west. I asked him what team he liked in the West. He said Edmonton. But he was dead on about the Hurricanes, and I gather they are going to be quite a handful, which should be interesting. But first, the Rangers have obviously a little work to do since they're up 2-0, but they obviously have a huge advantage in the series and should make quick work of Washington. The Knicks don't play till Sunday afternoon, and then 5, 6, and 7 are going to be scheduling to the Knicks' advantage because no more. The last 2 games, game 3 and 4, Embiid has had the extra day off. 2 days off before game 3, 2 days off before game 4, which will be Sunday. Then he's going to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 1 game each day, 3 pivotal games, 2 of them on the road. And his injuries, his conditioning, all that will come to the fore in those games. And obviously, the Knicks need every little edge they can get because this guy, let's be honest, he can just flat out score. I mean, a big guy that good on the line, a big guy who can step out and make threes and make jump shots and hit shots where he's getting knocked down and then go to the foul line and make 19 of 21. He didn't go inside and dominate with his size. He did this mostly on the perimeter. He scored 50 points as a big man on the foul line and on the perimeter. I mean, you look at his line last night. He was 13, I think he was 13 and 19 from the floor, 13 and 19, 13 for 20. And he made 19 of 21 foul shots. And he made 5. He was 13 and 19 from the floor, 40 minutes, 19 of 21 from the foul line, and 5 of 7 from 3. This is a big man doing this. 40 minutes for the first time since he came back from the injury. The extra day obviously making it important. But remember, Embiid stuck his neck out here. He was infuriated by game 2. After the game, he said they were the better team and guaranteed they'd win the series. Well, there was a lot of pressure on him in Game 3. And in Game 3, the Knicks were playing really well in the first half, and there he is already with 3 fouls. And the Knicks were winning the game. So he had to feel some pressure there, and boy, did he respond. With a 50-point performance. That's an incredible, 50 points in the playoffs. That's a lot of points. The one thing you have to be happy about last night was Brunson's game, because he came back and not only did he score, again, 27 shots is too many. He was 3 of 7 from 3. He was 10 of 12 from the foul line. He had a lot of assists. He only had 2 rebounds, but he had 13 assists. Still too many turnovers. He clearly reestablished himself in the series in his own mind. He had to mentally relax. He had to mentally get himself into the series where he could score now without thinking about scoring. See, they got him in the first 2 games so messed up that he is thinking about finding a way to comfortably score, which is uncomfortable by its very nature. So their defense against him was working. Size, double teams, play him a certain way in the lane. It was working. And then he comes out last night, and you saw him getting more confident as the game went on. Making his gestures after, which I don't like, after the baskets. I mean, that's the world we live in now. I just don't like that stuff. But you saw him comfortable last night, scoring, getting to the line, feeling comfortable that the next shot's going to work, not panicking to make a shot, feeling comfortable that he's going to score. Now, again, they're going to be happy if they can make him take 28, 29 shots every night. And that's been the case. He's taken 26 shots, 29 shots, and 27 shots. That's a lot of shots. But last night, 39 points, 13 assists, good game in a losing effort. But now you go into Game 4 thinking you have him back as your lead guy who can go out there and get his 30 points, which you need. The Knicks offense wasn't an issue last night. I mean, it was efficient. The Knicks defense and Philly's third quarter performance, which was off the charts in terms of efficiency, completely off the charts, leading to a 43-26 third quarter that broke the game wide open, and they were able to, by getting the ball to Embiid, they were able to withstand anything the Knicks threw at them in the fourth quarter. I don't think the Knicks ever got it in the fourth quarter below 7. I don't think it was even 6 for a trip. I don't think. So the Knicks never really dented it. They got it to 7, they got it to 8, but every time they did, he got back to the foul line and made it, and didn't just go to the foul line, he made his free throws. And that's a bit, I mean, when you're going to go to the foul line like they did last night, I mean, they were 3 for 7 on the foul line in the first half. And they wound up 28 of 33 on the foul line. They were 25 of 26 from the foul line in the second half. That's crazy. And when you realize they were 5 for 17 from 3 in the first half and finished 15 for 31, which means they were 10 for 14 from 3 in the second half. 10 for 14. 10 for 14 from 3. 25 for 26 from the foul line. Knicks can't beat them. There's no way to beat them. You can't beat a team that's going to hit those kind of numbers in a playoff game. You're not going to beat them. Sixers shot 55% for the game last night. Why? Because Embiid put up a 50-point game in an efficient style. He had a 50-point game. He only took 19 shots. That's outrageous. That's not efficient. That's off the efficiency chart. It's so high. And that's why the Knicks have to go to the intense double team. This is a perfect game to launch it. Hard, aggressive double teams. Make them get a third player involved in the offense. Work through those staggered screens they put out there for Maxey. Because if Maxey gets a half step on the defender, he's gone. You're not seeing him again. He's electric going to the basket. He can get out of control sometimes. He had 7 assists last night. He only had 1 turnover, which was really good. And he was 9 for 21 from the floor. Not great, not terrible. But he had his 25 points. They get 75 points out of the 2 players. Oubre comes next at 15. Oubre got some easy baskets last night. He hit 2 threes, but he got a couple of easy baskets where they were, ball gets knocked. Dante dribbled it off his foot or got knocked off his foot, and he got an easy dunk. He had a couple of those easy ones, and that allowed him to get 15. The paint 11 was good. They still need someone else to score. Harris last night played 33 minutes. He had 8 points. It's not enough. They need a third scorer. Make them uncover. Make them discover a third scorer or lose. That's the Knicks' objective in Game 3. Now, let me remind you, as we go through the playoffs, the NBA playoffs parlay insurance that BetRivers has. You ready? BetRivers offers oh-so-close parlay insurance during the NBA playoffs, okay? Place a parlay of 4 or more legs on an NBA playoff game each day. You get part of your stake back in bonus bets if you're exactly 1 leg short of hitting your parlay. You know those frustrating ones where you were this close. You had same game parlay, 5 different picks in the parlay, and you're rolling early. This one clicks, that one clicks, that one clicks. Now you got 2 and they're coming down to the wire. 1 makes it, 1 doesn't. You're like, 4 out of 5. Well, if you do that, the insurance is valid on your first NBA parlay of the day. See the BetRivers app for more details and see how much stake back you're eligible for. But it's nice when it comes so close to get that insurance and get some bonus bets back when you just missed that parlay.